Good morning, everyone. May I request all those who are still having some tea and coffee to kindly come and assemble, please. We'll get going.
Okay.
So as we are settling down, I would request Dr. S. Kanchana to come and settle down here. Dr. Muthuvel. We will have talks from these two eminent researchers. And I would also request Dr. C. Muralidharan of TNAU to please come here. He would be one of the discussants, and Mr. Anandhan from Marudham. Mr. Anandhan. From Marudham, yeah. Okay, great. So we get to the discussion on the first product. But before we get into the topic for this discussion, I wanted to share a couple of ideas and thoughts that got triggered thanks to a wonderful opening remarks by Professor Junjunwala. The topic itself is zero wastage dream. The word dream, as we all know, is something that is unreasonable, should not let us sleep, and most importantly, can be achieved by looking at the possibilities and operating from the realms of opportunities than getting dissuaded and discouraged by the constraints and the current realities. So the next 2 days for us would be most fruitful if we can park our constraints and current realities. Because if everything was happening the way it should happen and God is in heaven, then we don't need to come here. It's a dream. We got inspired by such a dream few years ago. I have been fortunate to be associated with this ecosystem since 2005. When villages were wired using a 64 kbps connectivity is when I got introduced to IIT Madras Research Park, whatever was the name at that point in time, to circa 2023. Many of such dreams have become realities because all of them got nurtured in the realm of possibilities, not from the constraints and the current realities. So let's explore all of these structures from that dimension. How can we make it happen? Unreasonable, of course, yes. Difficult, definitely. Impossible, no. Definitely not impossible. And we are all part of agriculture, friends. Every seed has the potential to germinate, grow, and become what it is meant to become. But for that, we need to have right environment. And what is it? Fertile soil, nurture the seed, irrigate it, protect it as it germinates and sprouts, make it grow, and help it grow. Something similar is happening here. Look at the kind of diversity that we have in our own group. We have researchers, we have dreamers, we have packaging technologists. We have everything that takes, including an anchor in professor who is giving us a structured format to engage in. Right? A 66% ownership in rural areas is the best way to begin because you will give a lot to them to be able to get incentivized, and aligning incentive is an important dimension to do anything unreasonable. And the roles and responsibilities for each of the constituents, a well thought through structure, I would say. Must confess that I did not walk into this room in the morning to expect this kind of a structured engagement to a dream. So let's take up this topic from there, and the two products that have been picked up again for today, tomorrow, are again unique. Because most of us in the market know the moment you pick up tomato, the one that you would remember or comes to our mind is how market linkages are a challenge, people throwing tomatoes on the road, and why can't we do something with them? Right? That's what we get to hear, most of us, the urban dwellers. But the fact of the matter is tomato also gets picked up 16 times during their harvest. Rates go up and down. What you see could be the week's rate or rate for a couple of weeks. How can we look at the weighted average of the rate? And hence, an approach where you are looking at providing the baseline price is the best approach for that. And it's most perishable as a commodity. So we'll pick that topic for the discussion now and hear from two eminent people from the researchers' perspective on how are they looking at this dream from the perspective of tomato. And we also have a representative from the FPO world who I'm sure would bring the perspective of handling this unique perishable crop at scale, and what are the things that we should be looking at to realize this dream. Banana is unique again. Maybe we'll take that up tomorrow, because I have spent significant of time with the banana growing farmers in Anantapur and adjoining districts. I'm from Anantapur district, so I know what that crop is. So without much ado, I request Dr. Kanchana or Dr. Muthuvel, whoever wants to go first and keep the time frame in mind so that we will have rich discussions. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Good morning. Once again, good morning, everyone. It is Dr. Muthuvel going to discuss about the processing and packaging of tomato in FPO level, Farmers Producer Organization level. So with this, I want to start with what is actually going on in farmers field. What's the production loss or post-harvest loss exists in the farmers field, and followed by our Dr. Kanchana madam will discuss about the packaging and value addition techniques followed in tomato. So I had an opportunity to stay in a village in Dharmuri and Krishnagiri, which are the two major districts growing tomato in Tamil Nadu especially. So throughout the year they are cultivating tomato. There is a very good opportunity. But what is going on in the field? Why there is a much price fluctuation? We have to analyze first. So here, unless other crops, tomato is more water content. It has more than 90% of the fruit is water content. So it is highly perishable. So we cannot store very long time. That's the major issue everyone knows. So here, you just analyze the price fluctuation. Most of the time we had a news in the newspaper or TV channel that the February month, we seen that most of the farmers, they throw their produce, tomato in the street. So while reading this, it's a very unfortunate. We are again and again, every year we are seeing this news. And one more important thing we must analyze, if the farmer price, if the tomato price goes below 2 rupees, the farmer won't go for harvesting in the field. They just kept assets in the field, and they are not going any operations. Even operation means not only harvesting, they don't go for any fertilizer application and all other input application, even watering sometimes, right? Since they don't want to spend much, they want to safeguard their own pocket money. That's a major situation going on. And while seeing the price fluctuation, where it comes, please next. So this price fluctuation exists in tomato. So on the level, if you see the price, we are getting very less price during February, March. So situation exists. You just see the higher price in the market from June to August. While seeing this, our farmers are, the cultivation practice, if you analyze, in northern India, most of the farmers, they fixed the major problem is season. So extreme winter or extreme summer, they cannot cultivate the crop on all the other months, right? That's one major thing. But for Tamil Nadu condition, so the farmers itself, they fixed the mindset to go for tomato cultivation. Only they may set after southwest monsoon during June, July. Immediately they go for tomato cultivation. And, or otherwise northeast monsoon during September, October, right? So they go for second season. Then Adi, it is actually Kartike Pattam. Then Thai Pattam during January and February. So these are the major 3 seasons the farmer starts growing tomato. So whenever they started growing, no, so that growing season, if you calculate, it may be hardly 15 to 20 months. All the farmers, they started sowing and planting, everything is going since at the same time. So automatically on 17th day, the harvesting will start. So we'll get harvesting. The 3rd month, they used to get 5 to 8% of the total harvest yield. And on 4th month, more than 50% produce comes to harvest. So this is the major reason why there is a market glut, why there is sudden falling of price. That's the major thing. So if the price, if the harvesting season or yielding coincides with the peak period everywhere, so automatically the farmers are not getting a good price and they just stop everything and they are in the losing position. That's the major situation. And one more major thing, it is a season wise. Second thing, they cannot control the market arrival. So it's everything, the price is actually based on the market demand and production level. So it's, if you just calculate, they cannot decide or control the marketing arrival. Even though based on the season they cultivate, but sometimes if they send it to Coimbatore market or Coimbatore market, Chennai, so in the very next day, some other quantity, some other lorry load will come from some of the areas, even in the summer, in the Kolar region of Karnataka, where the rainfall cultivation of tomato is going on. Immediately the next day, the arrival will come. Instead of 1 load or 2 load, it will be doubled. So automatically the price will be, instead of 10 rupees, it goes to 2 rupees or 3 rupees. So whatever they brought to market, they just throw it in the market. Whatever the price they offered by the traders, they get it back. So that's the situation exists. Second important thing is the June, July, August, which is a higher price the farmers are getting. The reason behind this is actually the previous months, April, May, the farmers are struggling to grow the crop because of the high temperature. High temperature, April, May, the fruit setting rate may be less, so that's the major situation. But even though the farmers are struggled, so then they understand, okay, this is the month if we grow tomato, they may get a very good price. So automatically, because of the high-end technologies, drip and fertigation system, all high-end techniques, they started growing with tomato and they brought to the market. It's a situation. So here, the higher price, mainly because is actually after the June, July month, most of the institutions will be open after holidays, vacation. Right? It's a major thing actually happens in the field or in market, and most of the Muhurta days comes. So Maigasi month. So all the functions, everything will come here and automatically it fixes the price. They are getting very good price, right? So, and market arrival is also less because of summer month, the previous summer months, right? That's the major thing actually happens. And one more major thing, because of the climate, if the market, so if they grow, if they harvest the regular produce, they may send it to the market. It's not it's a normal one, but at the same time, if the temperature rises, instead of 1 degree Celsius or 2 degrees Celsius during the summer month, automatically the ripening process will be speed. So instead of harvesting 1 load, they may send it to two loads. So automatically again the price will be down. So who is going to control this? The market arrival, right? So because of all these things only, the price will be altered. And the major thing is the fluctuation. It's a highly fluctuated crop, tomato. So without addressing all these things, we cannot control the market. So here it's a very good model our professors are presented, but it's the first step we initiated, but we have to analyze all the problems, then only we can get a very good price or stabilize these things. It is one thing. Second important thing I want to highlight here is our people's mentality. We cannot leave as such the consumer end. So for ours is, we used to consume fresh fruits, not processed one. Sir told even, it's more than middle and upper middle class, they started growing, started eating processed produce. Yes, but it is slowly getting up. to the 30% every year we are increasing the actual processed one. The mindset is changed. So unlike the developed countries like US, more than 90% of the produce they use it for processing. But here it's not the case, right? So our mindset is we have to use, consume as a fresh one, right? And we prefer, most of the time now, our people, we prefer the acidic fruits to make rasam and all other preparations. We should not even know. See, even myself, I cannot eat ketchup or anything. So our mindset is like this, right? It's the situation exists. So it is very long way to go and change the mindset. It is not easy, but anyway, it's a very good opportunity to go for value addition, right? To store the produce and we can sell it, thereby the farmers may get a very good price. So these are all things I want to highlight here. Without addressing all these things, it is not possible. It's my opinion. And the exact packaging and the processing and the value addition, our Dr. Kanchana madam will present. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Muthuvel, for this. Now, Dr. Kanchana, will you take over from here?
Yeah, sure, sir.
This is okay for you?
So, good morning, everyone. So, we have all assembled for a very good cause, that is zero wastage. We are taking now 2 crops, tomato and banana, and I am going to deal with the tomato. So, Sir has explained about the price fluctuation and why we need to do the, how to preserve the food product, the tomato, and also how to prevent the post-harvest losses based on the price fluctuation. So now, just I will highlight what are the products that can be done and how a plant can be established, and then a little bit about nutrition. Since I belong to food and nutrition, I will just say a few words about the nutritional significance and how we can establish the quality assurance. Because there are certain ways and means to process, and at the same time, we have to ensure the quality. As our professor said, we have to concentrate on how much the preservative that is being specified by the Food Safety Standards Authority of India, we have to concentrate. So in that way, I will just touch upon, and if you have any clarification, we can discuss later. Second one. So just tomato, we all know it is a very good crop, and it is playing a very good role in our culinary purpose because it's having a very good lycopene and also rich in potassium and low in sodium, which is good for our heart patient, and it is also having good amount of vitamin C. I can say it's a very good antioxidant crop, and we are wasting it. So, because the farmers, they have to get more money for this type of processing, so that is being wasted. So, we have to take concentration. Next. So, we can have the primary level processing, that is the level 1, level 2, and level 3. So, as we were discussing initially, we have to concentrate on level 1 processing in the field itself, even though it is not our mandate, but we can know about certain things about field level processing. Then second one is secondary level processing, and third one is we can go on the end level processing, that is more ready to eat products. It is not ready to cook, it is ready to eat products that we can concentrate. Next. So at the post-harvest technology, we should follow certain principle. At what maturity we are harvesting the crop, whether it is at green stage or 3/4 ripen or fully ripen or over ripen, because the raw material what we are taking it for processing, that will have a quality product at the end. If you want to make a puree or a paste or a ketchup, whatever may be the product, but the raw material plays a major role. How best the quality initially we are taking, that will decide the final product either any type of tomato products. So we should be very careful with the primary processing, then we can go for the secondary processing. Next. So I can say that the post-harvest management we have to consider a lot. I'm not going in detail. Next. So there is one simple technique, that is a vent. Even the flower vendors in the roadside, she will make a hole with a knife. She will just make a slit in the packaging. So that is a simple packaging. So we can also go for a packaging which is very simple by calculating the vent based on the respiratory rate and transpiration loss after harvesting the crop in the field. So that will also a simple type of packaging that anybody can do, and they can also go for the post-harvest processing. Next. So there are different types of packaging technology available, like a modified atmospheric vacuum. Vacuum is best for retail packaging. So we can go for a vacuum packaging. If it is possible, that also we can think it over. Next. So this is a vacuum packed product of tomato. Next. Okay, tomato paste and puree. So tomato paste and puree, I can say that this type of product is very ideal for our model, because it's a very simple technology, but we have to take certain care in the raw material selection, then the processing technology, and after that, how much the TSS should be at the final product, and the preservative, if at all to be added, we have to be very concentrate. And then the only equipment that is needed for this type of paste and puree is the double jacketed kettle with a boiler and a packaging unit and a pulping unit. That will do for this type of tomato puree. Similarly for tomato paste, next one. Tomato paste and puree, the difference is the concentration, nothing more than that, but that can be decided very easily. The concentration we can decide based on the total soluble solids. So that is a very simple method by which we can do the concentration. Next. So this is the different type of light, medium, heavy and extra heavy. Based on the demand we can develop. Next. So this is a product that is, we can do it, the puree with a simple machinery. I say that the boiler with a double jacketed kettle, and then a pulping unit, and after that a packaging unit. So with that limited machinery we can extract this plant in the village level. Next. So this is ketchup. Ketchup and sauce are similar. The only thing is ketchup we are adding more of spices, and the sauce we are adding more of sugar. So the ketchup, in ketchup, the preservative is a class 1 preservative, I can say. It is a very natural one, and we are adding only the all spices in the ketchup. That acts as a preservative, no need to add further preservative. That is the advantage of ketchup. Whereas in sauce, we have to concentrate more, so the sugar concentration will increase. There also, if there is need, we can add preservative. It is a very good, excellent natural product, that is, we can process it by tomato. So that is the ketchup and sauce. Next. Next. And canning, I think it is not possible, but many food technologists are here. Canning, it is good for export market. We can go for tomato canning. The process is very complicated, but we can make it simple by making the people to understand, by giving them training, we can go for canned products. So whole tomato also we can do canning. Tomato puree also we can go for canning. Pieces, whatever form we wanted. The main advantage is we can take the canned tomato or canned product, that is, it looks like a fresh one. We are pulping it, we are canning in the tomato pulp with whole fruit. So that is a very good thing in the canning of tomato. Next. Then we have to follow all food safety standards. Authority of India, they have given some specification based on the shelf life. If I want to store for 1 month, I don't need to add any preservative. Suppose if I want to store for 6 months, I have to add some preservative. It is very, very essential. And then if I want to store for 1 year, there is no need of preservative. And there are some exceptions like canned products and retort products. Without any preservative itself, we can store it for more than 1 year. So that is the advantage. We can have it in the canned and retort processed products. So, and also the drying. Drying is also, I have not given it here. Drying is a very good technology. As somebody was telling that the rasam. So if I want to make rasam powder is available. But in addition to that, they add tomato. But instead of that, I can add some dried pieces of tomato into that. We have the technology for instant tomato rasam powder and also takali sadam, tomato rice. That also can be processed with dehydrated tomato. So that is a very great thing in the processing of dehydration. And we can also process powder. Powder also we have to classify based on the need. If I want to make it more soluble, I have to go for spray drying. If I want just like that, like a rasa powder, I can go for normal cabinet drying. Or I can use a solar dryer to dry. So these are all the things which I wanted to express. In addition to that, there are many things to share. So interaction will be better than mere talking. Please. I'll stop with that, sir. Sir, எனக்கு 10 நிமிஷம் கொடுத்தாங்க. So I close. Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Kanchana. You just took 10 minutes, not more in any case. See the diversity of the talent here. The first presentation spoke about the volatility of price and what triggers these price movements, including the demand-supply dynamic. Second presentation spoke about the various types of processing and what goes in taking a perishable commodity to a processed food. Fabulous presentations, thank you. So we get into the, why not, round of applause for both the speakers. Thank you. So we get into the discussion now with the discussants, and then we'll open up the floor for comments and then questions. So we have Dr. Muralidharan from TNAU again, talking about the topic and sharing his perspective.
Yes. Good morning to all. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. Dr. Muthuvel, sir, had explained about described about the different aspects regarding the price for forecasting of tomato, and then ma'am had given a wide, the picture glimpses about the processed products which can be developed from tomato, ready to serve, ready to eat products. Okay, do you know the statistics? India's rank 107th place out of 121 countries in case of hunger index. One side, our food is wasted. The other side, we need nutrition. The hunger index is, out of 121. It's an alarming situation. I think you might have read it in the newspaper. Okay. So with this background, how to bridge the gap? The wastage can be minimized. We can take it two aspects in the case of supply chain. One is backward linkage, and another one is forward linkage. From farm to fork, you can say the plow to plate, whatever the entire supply chain, the entire thing, we have to look into it. Starting from seed, what type of variety which we are growing, that has to be taken care. The inputs, nowadays the organic products are getting, getting more demand in the consumer side. So what type of inputs we are using. Then artificial intelligence, machine learning, how to address the labor issues. Because thing is the cost is going on one side. Then machine learning, IoT, blockchain, the traceability. As ma'am had said that, the bottled, the canned products can be exported. One advantage is that if you export the canned products, the branded or packaged products, the traceability and the sanitary and the phytosanitary stipulations can be minimum. If you export the fresh produce from India to different countries, then the traceability comes into the picture, so we have to take much care. Okay, so many products are rejected because of the pesticide, sanitary and phytosanitary compliance, especially in European Union countries. That we have to take into consideration. Then hydroponics, aeroponics, a lot of technologies are there in the market in case of backward linkage. Now let us come to the forward linkage. The first and foremost thing which you have to look into is the demand. What is the demand? First, go to the market and come for produce. Okay, that is the mantra for the marketing management, the 4 Ps or 7 Ps, whatever the case may be. Then consumer behavior. Tomatoes are consumed in a large way, especially in household consumption. That too, if my mom or my wife, if she take that tomato and then do it by crushing it to make into rasam, then they will be happy instead of taking a powder into that, making into rasam. So that consumer behavior has to be, the studies has to be done a lot. The next one is, why can't we think the Amul model, the taste of India? So they are competing with the Nestle brand, the Cadbury's. So the tomato can also be taken into a global market. Okay, lot of countries, about 200 countries are there. We can tap the potential, export potential, especially Middle East countries, where our food products are maximum exported. Then next one is secondary metabolites, lycopene. It's it can be used for pharmaceutical industries, then therapeutic medicines, then natural pigments, where you can say, the cosmetic industries, those type of things can be explored. Thank you for, so just I had given, open up the things, we can contribute a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Muralidharan. So there was a question in the morning as to what is the role of an FPO, right? And what is the value add that they are going to bring. And we do have a representative from the FPO world, Mr. Anandhan. இவர் வந்து நமக்கு FPOல என்னெல்லாம் அவர் என்னெல்லாம் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கார், எத்தனை மெம்பர்ஸ் இருக்கா, டொமேட்டோ ஆஸ் எ கிராப் அவர் ஹேண்டில் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கார், அதில் என்ன அவருக்கு பிரச்சனை இருக்குது, என்ன ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டிஸ் இருக்குது, எப்படி மார்க்கெட்டிங் பண்ண போகிறார், அவர் தேவைகள் என்ன. ஸோ நமக்கு ஒரு FPO பர்ஸ்பெக்டிவ் கிடைக்கும் இவர எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ்லேருந்து. ஓகே, ஸோ ஆனந்தன் சார் நீங்கள் வந்து கொஞ்சம் பேசினா நீங்கள் 10 நிமிஷம் எடுத்துக்கோங்க, பரவாயில்ல. Who can do that? Who? Vivek. Vivek, 10 minutes? Okay, we will take care. Ninga start pannunga sir. No, I will. Go ahead. ஒரு நிமிஷம் நீங்க ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணுங்க.
தமிழ்ல பேசு. நீங்க வந்து ஒரு 2 sentences பேசி வெயிட் பண்ணுங்க.
சார் வணக்கம் சார். நாங்கள் மருதம் அக்ரோ ஃபார்மர் ப்ரொடியூசர் கம்பெனி, நாங்களே ஓனாக செல்ஃப் FPO ப்ரொமோட் பண்ணோம் சார். 350 மெம்பர் இருக்கோம். ஒவ்வொரு மெம்பரும் வந்து 5000 ரூபா ஷேர் ஹோல்டராக போட்டு செஞ்சுருக்கோம் சார். எங்களுக்கு எல்லாமே வந்து TNAU கோயம்புத்தூரில் தான் சார் ட்ரைனிங் எடுத்தோம். வேல்யூ அடிஷன் செய்கிறதுக்கு அங்கே தான் ட்ரைனிங் எடுத்து நாங்களே ஓனாக கேபிட்டல் அமௌண்ட் போட்டு யூனிட் ஆரம்பித்து ப்ராசஸ் பண்ணிகிட்ருக்கோம் சார். எங்களுக்கு மார்க்கெட்டிங் சப்போர்ட் யாரும் ஆள் கிடையாது, எங்களுக்கு வழிமுறையும் தெரியாது.
So what he is trying to say is that there are 350 members, 350 members, and you don't have marketing support. Marketing support கிடையாது
சார்.
எங்கே வரை நீங்கள்?
தர்மபுரி சார்.
தர்மபுரி, from தர்மபுரி district.
5,000 rupees every person. 350 மெம்பர்ஸ் போட்டிருக்கோம் சார். பட் எங்களுக்கு வழிமுறை தெரியல. எங்களுக்கு தெரிஞ்ச வரைக்கும் பண்ணி கொண்டு வந்திருக்கோம். மார்க்கெட்டிங் சப்போர்ட்டு ப்ளஸ் வந்து ஃபைனான்ஷியல் சப்போர்ட் ரெண்டும் எங்களுக்கு கிடையாது. ஓரளவுக்கு பண்ணியிருக்கோம் சார். இதில் யாராச்சும் ஹெல்ப்?
They don't have marketing and financial support.
டொமேட்டோ சாஸ் பண்ணியிருக்கோம் சார். டொமேட்டோ சாஸ் ப்ளஸ் வினிகர், சோயா சாஸ், சில்லி சாஸ் எல்லாமே பண்ணிகிட்ருக்கோம் சார்.
So as products, they have tomato sauce. In addition, they also have vinegar, chili, and soya sauce. Again, one more question that came in the morning. 365 days, whether a VPC would be, village processing center would be, operational. These are the examples again. May not be tomato, but there are other dimensions of processing that an FPO and a VPC can bring in. He also mentioned about about the collaboration that he has had with TNAU. That's where he got the expertise and advice and then started his processing earlier.
காஸ்ட்டு கிட்டத்தட்ட ஒரு 60 lakhs மேலே போயாச்சுங்க சார். எதுவும் கிடைக்கலைங்க சார். நாங்களே வந்து ஓனாக வந்து ஒரு 10 மெம்பர்ஸ் வந்து வேற ஒரு பர்சன் கிட்ட கடன் வாங்கியிருக்கோம். இது வரைக்கும் கொடுக்கல. 1 இயருக்கு மேலே ஆயிடுச்சு. பேங்க் சைடு போனால் கொலட்ரல் கேட்குறாங்க. கொலட்ரல் டைரக்டர் இது யாரும் கிடையாதுங்க சார். அந்தளவுக்கு யாரும் கிடையாது. இல்லை, ஏன்னா எல்லாமே விவசாயிக்கு தான் நாங்கள் இருக்கிறது. எங்களுக்கு அந்த அளவுக்கு வசதி இல்லைங்க சார். மேடம் இயர்ஃபுல்லாக தான் பண்ணுறோம் மேடம்.
எவ்வளோ எவ்வளோ அளவில் பண்ணுறீங்க வால்யூம்?
மேடம் இப்போ தான் நாங்கள் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணி 1 இயர் தான் ஆகுது.
ஓகே.
எங்களுக்கு மார்க்கெட்டிங் சப்போர்ட் இருந்தால் நாங்கள் ரெகுலராக பண்ண முடியும். ஏன்னா எங்களதே வந்து
சார் எவ்வளோ அளவு பண்ண முடியும்?
நாங்கள் இப்போ குவான்டிட்டி ஒரு நாளைக்கு 1 டன் பண்ணுறோம் மேடம்.
1 டன் பர் டே. ஓகே. 365 டேஸ் உங்களால் பண்ண முடியுதா? 365 நாள் வருஷத்தில் எல்லா நாளும் பண்ண முடியுதான்னு கேட்குறேன்.
எல்லா நாளும் பண்ண முடியுமான்னு எனக்கு தெரியலைங்க மேடம். அதை இப்போ ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணி நாங்கள் 1 இயர் தான் ஆகுது.
சீசனுங்க சார்? சீசன் என்ன சீசன்?
சீசன் எங்களுக்கு எப்பயுமே சீசன் தான் மேடம். ஏன்னா எங்கள் தருமபுரி டிஸ்ட்ரிக்ட்லாம் வந்து தக்காளி அதிகமாக விளைச்சல்.
என்ன ஹைப்ரிட்டுங்க? என்ன ஹைப்ரிட்? கொடியா இல்லை வந்து?
கொடி தான் மேடம்.
கொடி தான். பெங்களூர் தக்காளியா? பெங்களூர் தக்காளி.
For the benefit of others,
yeah, sure.
we'll go one at a time. So he started the enterprise on his own. About 6 of you, 6 of our very, yeah, 10 பேர். 10 people have come together, taken a loan from friends and relatives or whatever informal sources, have not had a formal financial support, neither subsidy or a grant, have invested in the plant and have been processing about a ton a day. He is from Dharmapuri, which means availability of crop seems to be not an issue for this volume. Can he do more? He says it's just 1 year since we started. We have to see what to do. Sandai gentleman had...
Hello sir. We are from E Sandai. Sir, நாங்கள் E Sandai. எங்ககிட்ட ஒரு 1300 ரீட்டைலர்ஸ் இருக்காங்க. ஸோ நாங்கள் ஆல்ரெடி வந்து தருமபுரி, கிருஷ்ணகிரி, அப்புறம் வந்து தேனி, அப்புறம் அந்த ஒசூர் சைட்லலாம் இருக்கிற வந்து FPOs கிட்டேருந்து சப்ளை எடுத்துகிட்ருக்கோம். நீங்கள் ரெடினா நாங்களே வந்து உங்ககிட்ட இருக்க சப்ளை வந்து ரெகுலராக நாங்களே வந்து...
ஷூர் சார், கண்டிப்பாக நீங்கள் ஹெல்ப் பண்ணலாம்.
we are ready to market your products.
Anna, first we have to find out whether supply is his problem.
Yeah, எனக்கு புரியுது.
You may give the raw material. Yeah.
365 டேஸும் சப்ளை தர முடியுமா தெரியலன்னு சொல்கிறாங்க.
கண்டிப்பாக சார் முடியும் சார்.
பட் வாட் எவர் டேஸ் யூ கேன் சப்ளை, we will ready to take it.
Okay,
we are ready to market it.
And we have the responsibility. We have the responsibility to support them, sir, because we are funded by Tamil Nadu state government. எங்களோட மெயின் அஜெண்டாவே Tamil Nadu state government promote பண்ண FPOஸ்க்கு support பண்ணுங்கிறதும் கூட. Right. Thank you.
But just stepping back, the objective of bringing together the set of 4 people here to share their perspective on the topic is, again, the possibilities. We are seeing a live example of someone who has already gotten into the tertiary processing that Dr. Kanchana was talking about, level 1, level 2, level 3. This is level 3 processing already, where they have gotten into a finished product. And the problem that Professor mentioned in his talk, indeed, are already visible here. Access to finance, access to markets. And if you go back to the framework of how this dream can be fulfilled, we have seen the role of the FMCG brands and the financial entities. And this is where a collaborative effort can unlock the kind of potential. While this is an FPO, what we are looking at is a miniature version in a VPC, right? And learnings that we have in the existing ecosystem can help us fine-tune our model big time. Right?
வேறு எதுவும் தெரியலைங்க. ரைட், எனக்கு தெரிஞ்சது அவ்வளோதான் சார். வேறு எதுவும் தெரியல.
நீங்கள் ப்ராசஸிங் எதுக்கு பண்ணணும்னு நினச்சிட்டு இருக்கேன்
சார்? எங்களுக்கு அதிகமாக தக்காளி தான் விளைச்சல் வந்து சொல்லுங்கள். இப்போதைக்கு லோக்கலில் மட்டும் நாங்கள் கொடுத்துட்ருக்கோம் மேடம். எங்களுக்கு பெருசாக வந்து ரீச் பண்ணுற அளவுக்கு, விளம்பரம் பண்ணி பண்ணுற அளவுக்கு எங்களுக்கு ஃபைனான்சியல் கிடையாது. தெரிஞ்ச வரைக்கும் பண்ணிகிட்ருக்கோம். கண்டிப்பாக.
So at this point in time, they are basically supplying their tomato sauce to the local market. And his constraint is that they don't have reach beyond the local market.
See, the business model, actually, you mentioned about the stakeholders. Say, in the business model, you all talked about all the stakeholders like farmers, FPO, and the entrepreneur and the franchise. But here it is a live example that FPO can do all the activities of the entrepreneur as well as the branding and e-marketing. The only thing the FPO needs is a support like branding and the other thing. So it's very clear examples.
So there are many FPOs which are already doing this, ma'am, in other states. For example, I am aware of an initiative in Chittoor called M Tomato, which is a federation of FPOs. But the idea is if we have to increase the rural income by 10x, we need to have miniature versions of such initiatives, not 60 lakhs investment, maybe 6 lakhs investment, and have 100,000 such village level entrepreneurs. So time and again we have to go back to what is it that we are trying to achieve and then calibrate the models and the initiatives to what we need to achieve, right? We need many, many such entities, of course, no doubt about it. But our dream is 100,000, 1 lakh such enterprises. 1 lakh at 60 lakhs would be slightly more challenging than 1 lakh at 6 lakhs. So can we, again, the importing of machinery, as Professor said, is expensive. Whether it is Korean or Japanese, we do have IIT Madras here. Can we miniaturize those processing units at fraction of a cost is the other one. Where is the Cholnuma? Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Right. So we have all the 4 participants of this session having shared their perspectives, and thanks for the active participation. I would request if Professor has some remarks for this session and then we open up for Q&A. Right. Okay. So any remarks or questions to specific participants here would be most welcome. The floor is open now. So we start with Rajiv and then we go.
Ma'am, I have a question for you. You were mentioning about the puree and the tomato paste, right? Yeah. So what is the kind of shelf life that we can look at once you convert tomato into a paste or a puree?
So tomato puree, I think we can have it for 3 months. 3 months is good. Because we do the heating and concentrating, that will be good. We can keep it for 3 months. If you have a different packaging, say for example, retort packaging or something like that, canned one, or if you are processing it in normal bottle we can hold it for longer period, even 6 months, because we can go for pasteurization also. But if it is a PET bottle, the shelf life is minimum. So we will not, many people think that the shelf life just by seeing the taste and other things. It's not so. The microbial load is there. Nobody knows. We are not aware of it. We are not considering that factor. But that has to be taken care. Then only we can say that this product shelf life is better. Many people, they consider, even me, I consider based on the taste. I cannot go and check whether any microorganism is there or not. But the processor who is processing, they have to give a good quality product to the consumer. At that time, they should check it. If it is in this packaging, it stays good for 3 months. Beyond that level, there may be chances for microbial load. If it is for 6 months, we have to go for this packaging. So the packaging, again, it decides the shelf life. Even though the processing is there, I can say 3 months we can keep it.
So I was looking from the perspective of, pre-packaging. For example, let's say you have like service giving a presentation when the prices is at the rock bottom, when
Yeah.
this happens, like February. So if there is a mechanism of, let's say, this puree or a paste being, let's say, refrigerated, where you can keep it for 6 months, right, as it is, then over the course of the month, you can convert it into a branded product and slowly release it in the
Yeah,
market,
sure.
right? So from that perspective, if you look at it, if you put a refrigerator, will it help them giving a larger shelf life?
In refrigerator, you can extend for 1 more month. That's it. Not more than that. Again, the temperature fluctuation, if it is there, then again, we have to think it over.
So you're saying otherwise it's 3 months is what you
3 months is okay. Because our solids is only 35%. So if it is 60 or 68, like jam or any jam and then jelly, we can go up to 6 months. the concentration is more.
Thank you, ma'am. Right. She had her hand up. Sorry. Yeah, please go ahead. I'll
So
come back
my
to you.
question is to all of you. My first part of the question is our vision is zero wastage, right? But at the same time, Kanchana ma'am, you mentioned that to have a quality product that we want for our initiative, right? Because we are targeting the urban people, the raw material quality is very important. So again, so that is one point of view, and the other is we want to stop wastage. So my first question to Muthuvel sir would be, how do the farmers select which variety of crop they grow? And in case, ma'am, as I was asking you before as well, how will the grade impact which product we make? And if you can give a little bit more clarity.
Yes, it's a very good question. Actually, for our condition, most of the farmers, now more than 90% we are using only the farmers are selecting the varieties based on yield. Not, so most of the varieties are not suitable for processing. That is the existing situation. So here, more than actually 33% of the varieties are hybrids, and this is suitable for processing type. So at present, if we want to go for complete processing, we have to go for selecting or introducing more number of processing types. That's the existing situation. So processing varieties also already released from IAHR or other private companies. Many varieties are available, but at present farmers are selecting varieties based on the yield only, and also the seasonality. In which season, how much yield it comes. So everything they select like this only.
So one of the challenges that the researchers should have here, especially TNAU researchers, would be how do we make the high yielding varieties that are grown by farmers to be processed, increase the shelf life, and be consumed in a processed form. That would be an important question and a research question, because you cannot grow what can be processed. You grow what you grow, and then there is grading sorting. Then you go to the market if the prices are better, and what you cannot sell or what doesn't make economic sense to sell is what should go to the processing. And that would be a good research question for us as part of this topic.
In this, I would like to add that the tomato, there are some varieties suitable for pickle making. If it is having high acid content, that is suitable for making this tomato pickle and also rasam like products, and also for a powder. And puree and the paste, we can go for that pulpy variety, that is the Bangalore variety. So in that way, we can classify.
Thank you. I think excellent presentations. And I think tomato is one thing on which there seems to be some more movement, and that can be one of the first product that we can take up. We are not limiting ourselves to tomato though. I think I like a small group. Tomorrow we will conclude this. Who will in our next 2 months completely document all the processing, packaging technique. You probably already have that, but we should have it in some kind of a document, and including this kind of tomato, this can happen, so technological part of processing and packaging, a small group should take it up and do absolutely top-class documentation, which will become a knowledge for anybody to take that up. Number two, I will sort of say that while you are doing processing and packaging documentation, which will be critical, the machinery required at different scale for that, we need a separate group to look at. These are the machinery required, this is what is available, this is what is the cost, this is what is missing. A small group will look at documenting all the machinery. Parallel it can be done. Number three, or another group, then look at complete business model. Given this machinery has to be purchased, given this tomato and processing and packaging will be required, what would be the distribution and sale price? What are the gaps in the business model? I think three different. One is technology, another is machinery, third is completely putting together the business model. I think three small groups, 2-3 people should take assignment and helped by others. We should have that ready. I don't know in what time frame, maybe a couple of months' time, and really, really go all out after that to start. We can even look at what are the efforts required after that. If new machinery has to be made, what is required? And so that, I think somewhere that kind of conclusion, you should drive it to tomorrow. Not today, tomorrow, by tomorrow. I just want to put that in.
Absolutely. That will lead to the action points beyond tomorrow. And we can come back with specific recommendations.
Yeah.
Right.
Sir, here. I'm Suresh Kumar from NRC Banana. Of course, we appreciate IIT Matters for organizing this brainstorming session. The two crop that's been selected is also important crops in Tamil Nadu. But I feel like it's like a kind of suggestions, being a post-harvest technology person. Many times we feel like processing is meant for avoiding a market glut. This tagline should be changed. It's not that processing is always only for avoiding the market glut. It should be a continuous activity. As even our director said, 365 days it has to work. And market glut we can observe. When there is a more product that can be observed. And the second point is, it's about how we are going to approach. Whether we are going to give a new product, not necessarily only purely for ketchup or sauce, because the market is saturated, and again a small players cannot compete with the bigger players. And in that case, traditional product can be think of when we are doing a market survey. Instead of competing with the big players, we can have our own niche products, and those niche products we can pitch in the right place. If we pitch it in the right place, surely we can find a market for it. And again, customized machineries for our own product. Not necessarily every time we have to do a copycat kind of a thing that we normally tend to do, like be it pasta or like any product or ketchup, because we all know that we are having a interest towards acidic tomatoes. But then industry needs a tomato with high TSLs, and our farmers are not okay for it. If we want to promote tomato variety for ketchup, then we have to map the areas where exactly we want to grow those kind of tomatoes, and we have to map exactly how much area is required for it. Or otherwise, like let us go for our own traditional varieties, hybrid varieties that may have higher acidity. And we, as I said, like we have to have the proper business plan. That's ultimately important, because when we are having more FPOs, more startups, then after 3 years it should not end up with having a loss-making company. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Suresh. Very, very valid points. And if you go back, all the three subgroups that were suggested would take up each of these. But just a step back, if you go back to the first session, the starting point is that 40% of these fruits and vegetables are getting wasted. That's the starting point. And the endeavor is, how do we avoid or prevent or make this particular dimension become better for the farmer, right? So that's the starting point. 40% getting wasted from whatever that they are doing. Can we make that more remunerative to the farmers? And then get going. But very, very valid points. Ma'am?
So based on this and based on the other discussions that has happened so far, first of all, I would like to thank all of you for your insightful talk that you had given us. And I would just want to understand to Professor Muralidharan, So is there any process, is there any technology that is already available for lycopene production, especially in the small scale industry? Not at the research level, but in small scale industry, can we go for, because this question of, there are 2-3 questions that keep repeating based on the quality of the product. So when it is going for food grade production, of course, the quality, the pesticide level, all that becomes very important. But as an alternative, if we go for an affinity level chromatography type of isolation of lycopene, wherein all the pesticides can also be eliminated and you get the pure form, and then we can position it in the, at the pharmaceutical grade, or if not at the cosmeceutical grade. That is one question I have. Let me just finish the next part of it, if possible to have a parallel processing unit along with it. The next thing is, tomatoes, as we know, are rich in micronutrients and all other components, and also some plant growth promoters. And today there is a major challenge on the input industry where we aren't having good quality, or if you say the micronutrients or other products, even the compost availability. Can some of these, which is actually rejected as a not a good quality for your food production and cosmeceutical production, can go back into the compost industry? Can we use something? So Professor Kanchana ma'am can also help me understanding that. So I'm thinking whether we can actually compost it, value add it, and use as a compost or a input again back to the farm. So these are my 2 queries. Thank you. Thank you, sir and ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah, lycopene. First question. Basically, I'm specialized in management, business management, agribusiness management. The processing aspect can be dealt by ma'am. And another one more, the pesticide aspects you had asked me regarding the export market. As we are having an agribusiness export consortium at our incubation center, where in our directorate, where we are doing, assisting, and we are doing hand-holding support for the exporters. That pesticides, a lot of products are, rejected in European Union. So they are giving, putting a lot of penalty for the exporters. Okay, ultimately, at the end of the day, the traders, most of the exporters are merchant traders. They are not a manufacturer exporter. So you have to come back to the field. You have to come back to the farmers. You have to aggregate the people. So the product is manufactured at the field level. The traceability, where you have to look into the field level. Export-oriented farms, like export-oriented units, like export-oriented farms should be developed. Then only the safety of the product will reach to the consumer. It is not that not only the export market, we are also human being, we are also valuable human being. The domestic market should also be protected. We, the Indians, should also be protected by growing a good product. Okay, that is the second part of the question. First part, ma'am and our food processing engineering head, Dr. Balakrishnan sir, will answer the question.
Madam, lycopene, we can extract it by a micro-encapsulation technology. And there are technologies, we also have the technology for isolating that lycopene and then encapsulating it, and that can be used in our any type of food product. We have the technology, madam. It can be done, lycopene.
Ma'am, my question is to Kanchana, madam. Yes. So, the question is something related to customer behavior. So, 5 years back, there was products like ginger garlic paste, and there was no one is to use those products. But in every tier 2, tier 3 city or middle class family, now people are using it. So, my question is, tomato puree, whether it can replace some South Indian kitchens like in your home, whether you can replace it for a chutney, sambar kind of thing, because currently tomato ketchup is used in basically B2B or in Western foods. Whether it can replace practically in Tamil Nadu kind of kitchens in sambar, chutney, whether you will be satisfied by replacing the fresh tomato with the tomato puree.
Nobody will be satisfied with the fresh one. We cannot compare with the fresh one. Unless otherwise, see, if you are not getting the tomato in the market, generally we go for processed product. In some areas, whether if they want to take that particular product, they will, if it is not available, they go for the processed product. And in some of the kitchens, it is partially replaced. It is not fully replaced, but it is partially replaced because majority of the people, when men and women, they are going for the job. Even the puree or otherwise if you give it in the form of a tomato rice in a retort pouch processed, the people will just cut open and eat it. Soon that will also come in the market. So there are some people who take that type of products. I definitely will not take that processed product, but it is available in the market, so I will take that tomato only.
Why I'm
So it is very
asking-
difficult to change the consumer behavior, as sir said. So consumer behavior we cannot change. But there are some areas where it is required, we have to satisfy. We have to provide them. Something is better than nothing. So we have to provide them.
Thank you. Can we have the follow-on question soon after?
Sure. Thank you.
And two requests. If you indeed have a question, start off with saying, I have a question for so-and-so, so that the person who is supposed to answer would become alert that question needs to be answered by that person. Rather than saying, okay, after all the questions say, can you please answer? Then it becomes difficult. Request number one. Request number two, the topic and the theme of the day, if you can just focus on that, that would be more helpful, because this is a workshop mode, which means the conversations should lead us to actionables, to deliverables later. Right? So let's come back from the realm of theory to what can be done here and now and what can be done, in the near future. So request to those who have not asked or participated to participate, and preference will be to those. Those are the three requests. Gentlemen, request those who have not participated will come back. Your 33% is done.
Good afternoon, sir. My question is for the sir. I don't know, sir.
Who?
Sir.
This
Sir,
gentleman?
Sir. Yes.
Okay. Dr. Muthuvel or?
Yes, Dr. Muthuvel.
Dr. Muthuvel, question is for
sir,
you.
I'm so sorry. Sir.
Please.
Sir, actually, you spoken about consumption of raw fruits and vegetables. That is more into our cultural aspect. Yes. So, as a food process engineer, do we have to emphasis more on extending the shelf life of fruits and vegetables for a long time?
Extending the shelf life?
In a fresh state.
Fresh state.
Fresh.
So,
Your vacuum packing kind of a thing that came.
There are
How can you extend the shelf life while being in the fresh form?
So, regarding a fresh fruit packaging or shelf life extension, unlike other crops, tomato is a major problem in packing or storage life, extending the shelf life. So, since it is more than 90% water, I already told. So, when we go for cold storage or stored in the refrigerator, the chain should not cut from field to kitchen. So totally we should not cut the chain. So immediately when it should be taken from the cold storage, immediately we have to use it for consumption. Immediately we have to use. If you take or up to field end, if we store, or during transportation, we have to use reefer van, and consumer end also, if they have to bring, they should not cut the chain, and they have to immediately keep it in the refrigerator until they use it in the kitchen. So unless we address these things, it is very difficult to extend this. There's a major problem in tomato.
Thank you, sir.
And we go for fresh produce usage.
Yes, the question is for Madam. And there are certain microorganisms which are specifically influencing the shelf life of tomato.
Yes.
For example, Fusarium solanae and other certain bacteria. What about the scope for work or identification of biocontrol agents to avoid the contamination of this particular area or storage area or processing area, or work on some allowable biocontrol agent? We can overcome the usage of preservatives or any other pesticide residue, or we can overcome these problems. No? What is the scope for this particular work, Madam?
Sir, in the fresh produce, I am not aware of it, to be frank. But in the processed product, some microorganisms may grow. That I was speaking to you. So fresh produce, I think somebody else assembled here, you can answer, and agriculturist can answer.
So any of the other, Dr. Muthuvel, you have an answer to that, please.
So for this question, actually, the research is going on to use all the beneficial microorganisms to address or postpone the disease-causing organisms. So the research is going on so very soon we have to get a very good finding.
Thank you.
This is to supplement Dr. Muthuvel's answer. What you have asked is the field diseases, the field organism which causes disease to the plant. So, Madam talks about the organism microbial load which causes spoilage of the produce. So, both are totally different. That is, organism-specific microorganisms which will cause only diseases in the field. That's not harmful to the human. That will be processed. Immediately after harvest, that will be processed. By washing itself, it's enough. But what Madam talking is the harmful microorganism which will cause spoilage as well as toxic to the human. So both are totally different. We have measures to control both. Thank you.
So Shiva, a supplement to this? Sure.
Thank you very much for the enlightening. So my question is, it's a very practical question. Supposing you have 100 tomatoes, and those 100 tomatoes are destined for, let's say, jam or puree or something. Now, out of those 100, let's say 90 are good for the puree part, and the balance 10 are not good, then what happens to those 10 tomatoes?
See, for example, if there is any cut, when in processing side, we generally give much priority for selection of the raw material. Even if there is 10% spoilage, that will have some reflection at the end of the product. So whenever we are selecting the raw produce, it should be 100% good quality produce. Otherwise, we cannot compromise with the quality at the end of the product. I will not give 10%, we can allow, we shouldn't allow.
So that means practically all the 100 will be used for puree.
Yeah.
There will be no wastage there.
No wastage. We can use it. Even the half ripen, the 10% it includes the ripening stage, the cut and wound, the spoilage, everything it is included.
But having said that, while the puree requires 100% of that quality, we have to find a solution for the non-puree related tomatoes, because from the farmer's perspective, every tomato is a tomato. If you are not able to process, that's your problem. Not his problem, is how they would look at it. I'll come back to you.
Hello everyone, myself Om Prakash, Mahatma Gandhi National Fellow who is posted in Marudham district. I don't have specific question, but I do have some 3 suggestions of this model. Considering that our aim is to increase the revenue of the farmers through setting up a village processing center, right? So what I do feel which is missing is like about the health aspect. For example, nowadays the consumers are becoming more conscious through some social media channels. For example, I think more adults are connected to Charan Academy, right? Have anyone heard of it? Charan Academy? Yeah. So these people educate on the chemicals that are being used in the processing foods, right? So that is also the thing that needs to be considered. For example, if there is a processed food and if it causes some health issues, for example, consider the farmer's family itself. It becomes an additional burden to them. So in a way, the farmer family has to spend more. So it leads to less income. So my question is like, are we addressing the issue holistically? One. And second is the consumer behavior. For example, we say that the tomato has some sort of nutrients and micronutrients. I'm not aware of those technicalities, but is it the same even after processing? Or are we getting the same taste even after processing? So that needs to be considered. And the third one is like the affordability. Even if we focus on the health aspect, even if we focus on the consumer behavior, unless and until we focus on affordability of the product that is being produced, it would not become successful. So that is what I wanted to put forward. So is there any other, am I wrong, or is there any other statement that can support my argument? Please give some opinion. Thank you.
First and foremost, we are all exploring the possibilities of reducing the wastage at the farm gate, extend the shelf life, better remuneration for the farmer, and find a business case to make that happen. That's the starting point, my friend. Okay? So on the specific question of what happens to nutrients and taste and other things, perhaps again we go back to Dr. Kanchana. Okay, and then we come back.
So with regard to nutrients, I can say that the heat sensitive like lycopene, there may be some reduction. Maybe 50% reduction will be there. But the minerals, there will not be much reduction. 10% reduction will be there, otherwise there is no reduction. So the nutrients, whatever is present, will not be having any impact. And second thing is vitamin C. Here I would like to give an example. Vitamin C will be lost 75%. I can 100% say, because it is called as a fresh food vitamin. So when you take amla as such, you get 300 milligram or 600 milligram vitamin C. When you cut it, you will get 500 milligram. When you shred it, you will get 300 milligram. When you make it into juice, you will get only 200 milligram. If you process it, you will get 100 milligram. So that is the case of vitamin C. Otherwise, the nutrients are there in the product. In the processed product, I can say that it is in a dense form, because we are concentrating. So it is in a dense form. You get more nutrients.
Yes, ma'am. That is what also I was talking about the health aspect. Whether we are able to retain the nutrients that the vegetable or the fruit that have.
Yeah, sure. It is in dense form. You need not worry. Minerals will be there. Generally, we take fruits and vegetables for the minerals. So minerals will be there except vitamin C. Vitamin C is lost. Definitely it will lose.
So the question would be then to the researchers, how do we retain the vitamin C levels while looking at processing would be one of the questions that we'll figure out. So if you don't even take the amla in juice form, you will not even get 100 milligrams. So squint is better than blind. So, right? We will later. Is it?
Not been answered. The affordability, I think, sir, was.
Affordability, is it? Affordability, we said first we have to make a business case. Professor indeed answered that in his opening remarks, where he said 300 million people would be middle and upper middle. She said with the nuclear families and people having limited time to spend more time in the kitchen, the affordability might get triggered, is a remark that came in. Again, realm of possibilities. We may not have solutions today, but that's why we are here.
Thanks. I really wanted to know what's happening in the ground with an FPO, because he's playing many roles. So, Anandhan, this question is உங்களுக்கு. நீங்கள் ஒரு FPO தொடங்கி ஒர்க் பண்ணிகிட்ருக்கீங்க, பட் ஆனால் அதோடைய ப்ராசஸிங்கோ என்ன தினமும் பண்ணுறீங்கன்றது கொஞ்சம் மென்ஷன் பண்ணால் நல்லாயிருக்கும் எனக்கு. அண்டு நீங்கள் தருமபுரியில் எந்த பிளாக் எந்த தாலுக்கா வரீங்கன்னு சொல்லுங்கள்.
பாலக்கோட் தாலுக்கா.
அதுக்கப்புறம் நீங்கள் 350 பேர் தொடங்கினாங்கன்னு சொல்கிறீங்க, பட் ஆனால் நீங்கள் எவ்வளோ ப்ரொடியூஸ் பண்ணுறீங்க? ஏன்னா அது ஒரு சீசனாலிட்டின்னு ஒன்று இருக்குது இல்லைங்களா? மாதத்துக்கு இவ்வளோ விளைச்சல் இருக்குது, உங்கள் காட்டில் நீங்கள் எவ்வளோ போடுறீங்க, எவ்வளோ வருது, எவ்வளோ ப்ராசஸ் பண்ணுறீங்க, இந்த மாதிரி கிரவுண்டில் என்ன நடக்குதுன்னு சொல்லுங்கள். அதுதான் மோர் இம்பார்ட்டன்ட்.
எங்கள் பகுதியில் எப்போவுமே வருஷம் 365 நாள் தக்காளி விளையிற சீசன் தான். அளவுக்கு அதிகமாக ப்ராடக்ட் ஆக்சுவலி விளைச்சல் அங்கே தான் கிடைக்கும். தமிழ்நாடு ஃபுல்லாகவே நீங்கள் பார்த்தீங்கன்னாவே நியர்பை மார்க்கெட் ஒசூர், ராயக்கோட்டை, பாலக்கோடு மூணு இடத்துல மார்க்கெட் இருக்குது. எப்போவுமே தக்காளி விளைச்சல் விளைஞ்சிட்டே இருக்கும். இது நாங்கள் எப்படியாச்சும் ப்ராசஸ் வேறு விவசாயிக்கு பாதிப்பு இல்லாமல் பண்ணணும் தான் இந்த ப்ரொடக்ஷனே பண்ண ஆரம்பித்தோம். ஆனால் எங்களுக்கு சரியான படிக்கு கைட்லைன்ஸ்க்கு ஆள் யாரும் கிடையாது வழிமுறை சொல்லித்தரத்துக்கு.
கவர்மெண்ட் ஸ்கீமில் ஏதாவது இருக்கீங்களா?
கவர்மெண்ட் ஸ்கீமில் எதுவும் நாங்கள் போகல.
ஹார்டிகல்ச்சர்
இல்லை, ஹார்டிகல்ச்சர் டிபார்ட்மெண்ட் நாங்கள் போகும்போது அவங்க 1 டிஸ்ட்ரிக்ட் 1 ப்ராடக்ட் எடுத்து பண்ணுன்னு சொன்னாங்க. எங்களுக்கு அது தேவையில்லை நாங்கள் சொல்லிட்டோம். தக்காளி அதிகமாக விளைச்சல் விளையுது, நாங்கள் அதுதான் பண்ணணும்னு சொல்லி நின்றுட்டுருக்கோம். அவங்க மில்லட் மட்டும் எடுத்து பண்ணுன்னு சொன்னாங்க. ஆல்ரெடி மில்லட்டில் எடுத்து யாரும் பெருசாக பண்ணி கொண்டு போக முடியல. தக்காளி அதிகமாக இருக்குன்னு தான் இது பண்ணியிருக்கோம். பாலக்கோடு பிளாக் நாங்கள்
எவ்வளோ ப்ரொடியூஸ் பண்ணுவீங்க நீங்கள் ஒரு நாளைக்கு? எவ்வளோ உங்கள் காட்டில் நீங்கள் எவ்வளோ கொள்முதல் பண்ணியிருக்கீங்க, அதிலிருந்து எவ்வளோ நீங்கள் விளைச்சல் எடுக்கிறீங்க, அதிலிருந்து நீங்கள் எவ்வளோ ப்ராசஸிங் பண்ணுறீங்க, அந்த விஷயம் மட்டும் சொல்லுங்கள்.
சார், இப்போதைக்கு நாங்கள் குறைச்சல தான் பண்ணிகிட்ருக்கோம். ஏன்னா எங்களுக்கு மார்க்கெட்டிங் நிறைய கிடச்சிச்சின்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க. 350 பேர் விவசாயிங்க இருக்கும். எல்லாருக்குன்னு நாங்களே நாற்று கொடுத்து ப்ரொடக்ஷன் பண்ண ஆரம்பிச்சிடுவோம். எப்படி நான் சொல்கிறதுன்னு எனக்கு தெரியல.
இல்லை புரியுது
சார். எங்களுக்கு பார்த்திங்கன்னா ஒரு டன் ப்ராசஸிங் இருக்குது சார். யூனிட் இருக்குது 1 டன் ப்ராசஸிங் இருக்குது. ஜாஸ்தி வேணும்னா நாங்கள் வந்து ஆல்ரெடி மிஷின் வந்து தேவைப்படும் போது இன்னும் இன்க்ரீஸ் பண்ணிக்கலாம் சொல்லியிருக்காங்க. ப்ராசஸ் டொமேட்டோவை நாங்கள் விற்கலைங்க சார், வைக்கல.
No, sir, like, no, it's like, I don't know, like, in ground, like, there are, like, operations, and that's what, like, I would like to explore. And that's problem, because we are thinking about, like, processing, packaging, and other stuff. But, like, operational challenge is the greatest thing, because an FPO is there in ground.
No, Suresh, I don't think so. Maybe he's not able to articulate, but what we can do for the benefit of this group is there are 2-3 case studies on that. One is an M tomato, which is in Chittoor. They deal with fresh tomato. It is a federation of FPOs, by the way, much larger scale. All the way to, ketchup and puree. So they have the entire value chain. I'm sure it would have got documented somewhere. So I would request the, incubation cell team or Jaya ma'am to share the case study of M tomato and couple of more, because we work with a lot of FPOs. I'm sure Joby and Rajiv will have much more, field level information to share. We will make sure that in the next couple of weeks we will share few case studies with you in terms of what enna nadakkaradhu field adu share panna porom. Okay va?
Sure.
Right.
Thanks, Anna.
Thank you Mr. Anandhan.
சார் இப்போ நீங்கள் ரொம்ப ப்ராக்டிக்கலாக நீங்கள் வந்து மேனுஃபேக்சர் பண்ணுறீங்க. இப்போ இந்த ஒர்க் ஷாப்போட டார்கெட்டே வந்து 0 வேஸ்டேஜ் தான். இப்போ நீங்கள் ப்ராசஸ் பண்ணுறப்ப எவ்வளோ வேஸ்டேஜ் வந்துச்சு, அந்த வேஸ்டேஜை நீங்கள் எப்படி மேனேஜ் பண்ணுறீங்க?
அந்த வேஸ்டேஜ் வந்து நாங்கள் கீழே தான் கொட்டி வரோம், வேறு எதுவும் பண்ண எங்களுக்கு தெரியாது. எங்களுக்கு தெரிஞ்சது வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா எங்களுக்கு தெரிஞ்சதை வந்து நாங்கள் பண்ணிகிட்ருக்கோம். ஏன்னா அதுக்கு மேலே ட்ரைனிங் போன தான் மற்ற ப்ராசஸ்லாம் பண்ண முடியும். ஆக்சுவலாக வந்து பார்த்திங்கன்னா அது வேஸ்டேஜ் அந்த தோல் வருதுங்கள, அதோ ப்ரொடக்ஷன் ஏதாச்சும் பண்ணலான்னு சொல்லியிருக்காங்க, பவுடர் பண்ணலான்னு. ஆனால் நாங்கள் அது ஒன்றும் கற்றுக்கலை.
Yes, ma'am. After that lady, and then I'll come to you. Acha, you have a supplementary point to this, gentleman?
Not, yeah. So we have recently interacted with few FPOs. So from our understanding that at one point, FPOs need very simple processing, like not very complicated, not very imported machineries, etc. On the second hand, we are introducing a franchisee model where the whole operation would be overseen by experts. So can we also incorporating the nutrient point of view, for example, freeze-dried products or frozen products are said to preserve the nutrient maximum as compared to the heating process. So can the franchisee, when we have a franchisee model incorporated with the FPOs, can we bring in more sophisticated machineries and have a better product, maybe with a higher price? What is your views on that? Or should we stick to very simple processing?
All good questions. The small group can actually take up that, and I would suggest that you volunteer yourself to be in that small group to ask all of this. Okay, helpful. It would be helpful. Because the first small group that Professor mentioned indeed about is what you are asking, ma'am. Okay. So volunteer yourself in the small group. Tomorrow, you may want to say.
Without any financial support. But to my knowledge, there are so many financial sources are available, especially for FPOs, especially from Government of India. They are supporting for huge amount is being supported for food processing industries. Around 20,000 crores something per year they have earmarked for promoting the food processing industries alone. In that they can utilize the back-ended subsidy. Even for some machineries, you can have 75% subsidies. It starts from 25 to 75%. So those subsidies and other facilities they can utilize. And MSME also supporting the FPOs and small industries. More of that, the National Horticulture Mission, because this is a horticulture-based product. Horticulture Mission is also supporting in financial terms. So I don't know why they have not exploited that facility is already available from government.
So rather than putting him on spot again asking why, what would be helpful is during the lunch break soon after the session,
sir, they can very
you
well,
may want to have a chat and say what are the
Yes,
avenues.
sir. They can approach the concerned person. Even
Correct.
TNAU, Murali can able to give some guidance.
Correct.
How to approach for finance under NHM. Muthuvel is also expert in NHM.
Thank you.
National Horticulture Mission and MSME and Ministry of Food Processing.
Thank you.
If anybody is from NIFTM, they can give some suggestions also to develop them.
Surely,
To
surely.
support them in financially. Thank you.
Surely, we'll come to that. If you go back to again the framework that Professor presented, the government and NABARD dimension indeed is to proliferate all the schemes that you mentioned to the FPOs because they are the ones who are going to invest, lease it out to the village processing guy who is a franchisee, right? So one of our jobs as this group indeed is to bring these schemes to the beneficiaries in an organized manner. Thank you for that. Yes, ma'am.
So my question is to Kanchana ma'am. As a dairy technologist, I couldn't resist myself in asking this question. Ma'am, milk is the most perishable product, which has around 13% of only total solids. When milk can be processed and the shelf life can be extended up to 6 months, why can't we apply certain technologies, or is there any upcoming technologies similar to that in case of tomato?
Yeah, milk is entirely different. In milk processing, generally we go for kova, paneer processing, and milk like that.
I'm asking about that milk component alone, like fresh milk.
Fresh milk.
We
So
just
they are
have
using aseptic packaging. See, the packaging is a different process. Aseptic packaging, we can even keep it for more than 9 months. So tomato juice, I can keep it for 9 months. The packaging is a thing. It is costly, and I think for R&D itself, it is costing around 4 crores. That aseptic packaging machine. In some of the milk processing unit, they are having it, and some unit they are outsourcing it. So it is, I think in cane juice also, they are doing that, not cane juice, tender coconut water, they are bringing it in aseptic packaging. So this is also possible if you go for aseptic.
Oh, that's possible in case of puree as well.
Yeah, it's possible. We can go up to even 1 year, but it is in aseptic.
Thank you.
So,
I just wish to add some supplement points to. Actually, tomato processing, the main nutrient is vitamin C. Okay, that is heat sensitive. But in milk, we don't have such kind of nutrient. So we can go for thermal processing. There, thermal processing is the major one. That's why they are extending the shelf life. If we are applying the same kind of thermal processing, for example, retard processing, you can extend the shelf life up to 18 months without adding a single drop of chemical. Right now we are doing cane juice. So the shelf life is more than 6 months we are keeping in our lab. So the taste is very similar to nature. So that kind of packagings are available, and even you can achieve that. But main thing is here you have to sacrifice vitamin C. That's all. Thank you.
yeah, if we can, I was thinking to Kalpana ma'am, right? Yes, sorry. So I was saying that as a follow-up of Professor Junjunwala's start in the morning about the dream and what Anil was saying about the dream, maybe we are restricted. So I was talking about can that, taking from your milk question to what you talked about, so are we not concentrating too much of packaging? Supposing we had no packaging at all, and if you can visualize a large storehouse where I can press a button, pick up tomato juice straight from the village to this place, then we get rid of the packaging in the middle. So I was wondering whether it's possible from what Arvind is doing, taking the milk and directly giving it to booths where you pick up the, can one that, I'm just trying to ask you the technical feasibility there, because he was talking about dreaming beyond the possible and all that. So is it possible to directly get in a booth?
Yeah.
All are possible.
We will make it possible.
All are possible. Right. If we, again, there is an English saying, if you continue doing what we are doing, don't expect different results. If you want different results, we have to do something that people have not done. Right? So those are the things that perhaps, because friends, we are talking of 2047, not 2023, 2024, 2025. 2047, who knows? There could be a pipeline from farm into the, who knows? By the way, just on that, Professor Shiva, on that, whenever there is a audacious space mission, the first thing that they would do apparently is make an artistic impression of how would it look like. That's the starting point. Can we visualize it? Going to Saturn, visualize those 7 or 8 rings around the planet and one satellite and ejecting something into that. And this I heard from someone who was part of that mission, Saturn mission in NASA. So maybe we need to have some artistic impressions of tomato being crushed and you holding the glass and then drinking it.
Also, Da Vinci drew the picture of an aeroplane 500 years ago.
Yeah.
500 years
in
ago.
15th century.
There is actually a picture called, he called it the flying machine. 500 years ago, he imagined a flying object. And
So it's only 1934 that we had few seconds of flight, and that's history. Anyhow, coming back, friends, any more? Please.
My question is to Dr. Kanchana, ma'am. Ma'am, we are talking on losing of vitamin C on heating or processing. How far it can be made possible through fortification?
Fortification, again, we are taking out the natural nutrient that are present, and we can also do fortification. Vitamin C fortification is done where in any product there is no vitamin C. So once we have the vitamin C naturally in that particular fruit, we are removing it back and other nutrients are there. Why we have to again fortify with vitamin C? If it is, there is no need at all. So other nutrients are safe. So there is no need for chemical fortification in the natural one.
So I think her question is coming from the dimension that if you use UHT as one of the ways of milk, can we fortify what we are losing?
Actually, what you are consuming now, masa and slice, in that what your question is answered. Actually, during the process of mango, starting from pulp itself, you are losing the vitamin C. Again, it is repacking. During that time also, the mango pulp is getting heated. So you are again losing the vitamin C. That's why the industries, you just read the ingredients in the masa and slice. They used to mention ascorbic acid. That is, they are fortifying it. What you are losing during the process, they are adding it again. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hello, my question, good morning, sorry, good afternoon. My question is to Kanchana, ma'am. Ma'am, since our session is on zero waste, so apart from the pulp, ma'am, like the peel and the seed, can all that also be turned into some value-added products, so that is also not wasted? I've heard about the colorants and all, but I'm not clear on it. So could you please elaborate?
So one person asked about lycopene. So the peel contains more of lycopene and also the fiber. So that can be dried, or we can isolate, we can encapsulate that lycopene. That can be used for lycopene, and the remaining one can be used for fiber. So fiber we are lacking in many of the food item. It can be incorporated. It is a food fiber. So that can be taken off. And with regard to the next question, what did you ask?
The seeds and the...
Seeds, some people, it is very difficult for the kidney stone formation. I think the tomato, what is available, coming in the market, it is having only minimum seeds now. Previously, we in the country tomato, we used to have a good amount of seeds, but the seeds is very less. And some people, they are extracting oil from the seed itself, but that I think it is not having economical value. I don't think so.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Any more questions, or have you earned our bread? Any more questions, friends? Yes, ma'am. You are between us and lunch.
Yeah.
My question is to sir, no, to Anandhan sir, about the practicality about the program. So sir, உங்களுக்கு வந்து இப்போ நீங்க பியூரி பண்ணும்பொழுதோ இல்லை வந்து ஃப்ரெஷ் அதாவது டொமேட்டோவோ தக்காளியாக விற்கிறதுக்கும் காஸ்ட் அதாவது ப்ராஃபிட் டிஃப்ரென்ஸ் என்னங்க சார் இருக்குது? ஒரு கிலோவுக்கு எவ்வளோன்னு சொல்ல முடியுங்களா? தெரியலைங்களா? ஓகே ஓகே. ஏன்னா நீங்கள் ஒரு எக்ஸாம்பிள், ஸோ ஐ எம் வரிங் அபவுட் ஃபார்மர்ஸ்க்கு வந்து இது எவ்வளோ கிடைக்கும் அப்படிங்கிறதுக்காக கேட்குறேன் நான். தெரியல. சரிங்க சார். எவ்வளோக்கு சேல் பண்ணுறீங்க சார் இப்போது இந்த என்னங்க சார்? இல்லை நீங்கள் சாஸ் அது சொன்னீங்கன்னா நாங்கள் பண்ணிக்க முடியும். எவ்வளோக்கு சேல் பண்ணுறீங்க? நார்மல் ப்ரைஸ் சொல்லுங்கள், ஆவரேஜ் கூட சொல்லலாம். அப்படிங்களா? சரி சரி சரிங்க சார், தேங்க்யூ. இல்லை, நோ ப்ராப்ளம், தேங்க்யூ.
No, we will share the 3-4 case studies around tomato, which will also have the pricing dimension and what is in it for the year. Okay, friends, thank you for a very, very engaging conversation. I was actually wondering around 12:25, what do we do for the next 30 minutes? So thanks to each one of you for making this session an engaging session.